The first sign wasn't movement. It was stillness. In the heat-shimmered silence of the African savanna, something enormous stood beneath a bruised orange sky, motionless, almost sculptural. From a distance, it looked like a boulder that had grown skin. Up close, it was something stranger. Its hide wasn't smooth. It wasn't scarred by battle. It was encrusted. Layer upon layer of pale, crust-like growths clung to its body, clustered along its flanks and shoulders like coral reef formations. Darker shapes pulsed and wriggled between them. What should have been thick gray armor had become a living surface. This was not the ocean, and this was no reef. This was a white rhino, 2 tons of muscle, skin up to 5 centimeters thick, a horn of compressed keratin strong enough to flip a vehicle. In evolutionary terms, it is a fortress on legs, designed to survive drought, predators, and territorial combat. But evolution doesn't design for everything. The extreme condition here isn't cold or pressure. It's neglect. Rhinos depend on mud. They wallow in it daily, coating themselves in thick, drying clay that acts like natural sunscreen, parasite repellent, and antibacterial armor. The mud cracks and flakes away, taking ticks, larvae, and microbes with it. But what happens when waterholes dry? When drought stretches longer than memory? Without mud, the fortress is exposed. And that's when the colonizers arrive. Barnacles belong to the ocean. They are crustaceans, relatives of crabs, that glue themselves permanently to whales, ships, even sea turtles. They cement their heads down and build calcium fortresses around their bodies, filtering plankton from the water. So how could something barnacle-like cover a land mammal? In rare and extreme cases, hardened clusters of parasitic growths, ticks swollen beyond recognition, fungal crusts, bacterial plaques, and keratinized scabs, can accumulate into formations that resemble marine barnacle colonies. The skin becomes an ecosystem. Insects burrow in folds. Flies deposit eggs in microscopic wounds. Fungal networks spread like lichen across rock. Each parasite alone is manageable. Together, they form a living armor that steals blood, irritates nerve endings, and opens gateways for infection. Scientists still don't know why some individuals become overwhelmed while others do not. Is it immune suppression? Stress? Environmental toxicity? Age? What we've discovered only deepens the mystery. Because once that threshold is crossed, the rhino's own defenses begin to fail. Parasites don't just irritate, they drain. Ticks alone can remove enough blood over time to cause anemia. Open wounds invite bacteria. Infections create inflammation. Inflammation consumes energy. The immune system diverts resources from growth and repair into constant combat. For a 2-ton animal, even small inefficiencies compound. The extreme condition now isn't heat. It's exhaustion. As the parasite load increases, the rhino's skin cracks. Crusted lesions form. Some harden, creating pale, shell-like mounds that cling stubbornly to the hide. Others weep and darken. Each one becomes a microhabitat. Oxpeckers, small birds that usually help by eating ticks, can't keep up. The infestation becomes too dense. And sometimes, even these birds worsen wounds by pecking at healing tissue. A symbiotic relationship shifts into something more complicated. This raises a larger question. How thin is the line between cooperation and collapse in nature? Evolution shapes traits over thousands of generations, but it cannot predict rapid environmental change. Extended droughts, intensified by shifting climate patterns, reduce mud availability. Human-driven habitat fragmentation forces rhinos into smaller territories. Stress hormones rise. Immune responses falter. The very adaptations that once guaranteed survival, thick skin, territorial fidelity, reliance on waterholes become vulnerabilities. It feels almost alien. an animal built like prehistoric armor undone not by predators, but by organisms the size of grains of rice. Biological adaptations that seem invincible often hide fragile dependencies. And when one element disappears, the system unravels. Scientists still don't fully understand how climate stress interacts with parasite outbreaks in megafauna. But evidence suggests that environmental extremes amplify biological ones. The rhino becomes a warning signal. By the time conservation teams found this individual, its skin resembled cracked limestone coated in shells. Veterinarians approached cautiously. A tranquilizer dart pierced the thick hide. Slowly, the giant lowered itself to the earth. Up close, the scale was overwhelming. Clusters had fused into hardened masses. Beneath them, tissue was inflamed and infected. Some growths had calcified, forming shell-like plates, nature's grotesque imitation of ocean barnacles. Removal wasn't simple. Each cluster had to be carefully scraped and treated. Antiparasitic medications were administered. Antibiotics followed. Wounds were cleaned. Protective salves applied. Took hours. And even then, recovery wasn't guaranteed. Because parasites are symptoms as much as causes. If the environment remains hostile, they return. Weeks later, the rhino was seen again. Cleaner. Healing. Moving with more energy. Mud clung to its sides once more. A simple coating of earth acting as shield and medicine. Something so ordinary had become extraordinary. Yet the deeper question lingers. If droughts intensify, if habitats shrink further, how many other giants are quietly becoming ecosystems for smaller life forms? The savanna looks timeless from above. Golden grass stretching endlessly beneath a vast sky. But up close, it is a fragile balance of water, microbes, insects, mammals, and climate, all interlocked. We tend to think of dominance in terms of size, but survival is often decided by the smallest organisms. The white rhino, a relic of the Ice Age, can be overwhelmed by creatures invisible from 10 steps away. And if something so immense can falter under environmental strain, what does that mean for the rest of us? Scientists still don't know how many hidden tipping points exist in ecosystems like this. What we've discovered only deepens the mystery, because the wild is not just vast. It is layered, and beneath every layer, something smaller waits. Not conquered, not understood, still shaping the fate of giants.